Hi, I'm Femi OK and you're in the stream. Today, a wildly popular Indian writer who has masses of fans and critics. Today I'm joined by Indian writer and columnist Chetan Bhagat. His novels have sold over 7 million copies and 4 have been turned into successful Bollywood movies. But there are also many who question his popularity. Chetan's books address some of the big issues for youth in India: personal freedom, jobs and of course complications in love. Take a look at this clip from 2 states based on his book of the same name.
हमारे यहाँ हिंदुस्तान में ना 2-4 स्टेप्स और होते हैं। लड़की की फैमिली को लड़के से प्यार होना चाहिए। अंकल अनन्या घर पे मुंह तो ऐसे बना रहे थे जैसे मैं आंटी पे चांस मार रहा हूँ, और लड़के की फैमिली को लड़की से।
गुड मॉर्निंग अंकल, मैं अनन्या, क्रिश की फ्रेंड।
लड़के के फैमिली को लड़की की फैमिली से प्यार होना चाहिए और लड़की की फैमिली को लड़के के फैमिली से।
आपको तो यकीन ही नहीं हुआ होगा कि आपकी बेटी को इतना हैंडसम और क्वालिफाइड लड़का मिला है।
एक्चुअली 90% तमिलियंस क्वालिफाइड होते हैं।
लेकिन माफ करना, 90% तमिलियन गोरे भी तो नहीं होते।
So Chetan has close to 8 million people who follow him on social media. So I know that we're going to have a lot of comments coming in for him. Chetan, it's great to have you in the stream. Welcome.
Thank you. It's an absolute joy. I'm generally a big fan of Al Jazeera and all the work they've done and what they stand for. So it's a pleasure to be here at 1 in the night.
Excellent. So we will make it worth your while. We hope for staying up so late with us. We appreciate that. We're not going to have this conversation by ourselves. Of course, we need our digital producer, Omar Badar, who's sitting in for Malika Bilal. So I have a feeling there are going to be some lovers and some haters out there.
Absolutely. It really is a very intense love-hate relationship that the online community has.
All right.
We actually see that reflected here. We have Jahanat who tweets in saying, Chetan might not be my favorite author, but I respect him for what he is. He's got his own niche and people listen to what he says. On the other hand, we have Samir here who is not such a fan, who says no one takes him or his book seriously. He is a bits and pieces author and a horrible political analyst and commentator.
Ouch.
That is pretty harsh, and there's quite of that
Chetan,
diversity
I wouldn't take that lying down.
Yep. Of course, whether you love it.
Thanks guys. Thanks for calling me and starting off on such a
Of course, whether you love them
Twitter. I really need Twitter now to tell me the worth of my work. So, okay, good.
Yep. I mean, we want people to keep weighing in online, of course. Whether you love them or hate them, you can tweet us using the hashtag AJStream, and we'll get to those comments. But also, today we have a few members of our online community who are ready to chat with Chetan. We have Harsney Hanshu in New Delhi. He is a writer and a freelance journalist. We have Supriya Dravid, who is a writer and the author of A Cool Dark Place. And in Dubai, we have Rahmatullah Sheikh, who is an aspiring journalist. Welcome everyone to the stream.
So, let's get started. Hello everybody, that chorus of enthusiastic voices there coming in from India. So Chetan, let's get started. Investment banker, former investment banker, when did you go, okay, I can't do this anymore. I'm going to give away my big salary and just write books. What was that moment? Can you remember?
Actually, it's pretty much the first day. But I had no choice on the first day. I stayed as a banker. I did want to make some money and be financially independent. But something told me that this is not for me. I had done everything a good Indian middle class boy does. Did his engineering, did his MBA, joined Goldman Sachs. And then, I just couldn't connect to that being the rest of my life. Whereas everyone around me was talking about bonuses and, how much money they are making, and I would find myself really out of place in parties, and I said, I have to do something else. And of course I had no outlet then, but then life had other plans.
But you wrote 3 of your books while you were still in investment banking. How do you do that?
By having a computer with a nice filter screen so that the boss doesn't notice.
Very cheeky.
Well, I mean, I wrote them slowly. All my friends had hobbies like golf and stuff like that, what bankers do. And I had hobbies of writing. So I never thought that this, frankly, I never thought that when I write, it'll have any impact or it'll be something which become greater than just being something I do on the side. So yes, I wrote those books on the side, but not with the grand plans that I'll be on Al Jazeera one night.
Well, Chetan, we have actually some questions coming for you online. We have Samir here who tweets in asking, what is your proudest moment so far? Of all the things that you've worked on, what do you think you're most proudest of?
I think I'm proudest of, I mean, there's no one moment, but I'm proud that people you never thought in India would ever pick up an English book, and I'm talking constables, and I'm talking people who drive cars for other people. These are people who are native Indians. You would never associate them with buying an English novel and reading it by themselves. They have bought and read my books, and they ask me, if I go to an airport, the guy who frisks me asks, when is your next book coming? I'm waiting for it. The fact that I have reached that level in India is the proudest moment, because they also deserve to have books, and they also deserve to read. And it's it's the kind of people who India ignores. The English community is so elitist that it's like, oh, that English world is not for them. And I have been able to bring them over, and I've been that bridge of the English class system that exists in India. That is my proudest achievement.
How did you do that? What do you think it is that in your books, in your work, that actually touches the masses in India, because you are hugely, hugely successful?
I think I write, there are reasons as practical as I write in a very simple English. And the second is I write stories about human emotions, and I genuinely believe people are the same. I genuinely believe whatever language you speak, you sitting there in Washington, the person sitting in an Indian village, me sitting here in Mumbai, we're all the same. And that's a general belief I have. So therefore, it reflects in my stories. You pick up my story, you can enjoy a two-state fair, whereas a guy in a village can enjoy two states. It's just about a boy and a girl trying to convince their parents to get married. And I'm able to present it in a very simple manner. So I think that does it. That does the job. And, just connects people. We
have people echoing this here online. Gopi says, the language used in his novels is very conversational. It does appeal to non-fluent English readers, which is unique. And we have Yavnesh here, who also agrees and says, he raised the bar not in difficulty, but in actually making it easy. Rahmatullah, I know that you have some thoughts on this. Why don't you jump in here?
I do. In fact, I just want to ask Chetan Bhagat if this, in a way, gives an indication towards the attitude that especially the young people have. While I was in India for the few years, I saw that there were these young individuals who probably associate themselves with pseudo intellectualism. They said that Chetan Bhagat is very simplistic when his approach, and it's not the elitist kind of reading that I indulge in. Isn't this some kind of a disruptive attitude in a way? You are actually backing people who are trying to make the language more easier and trying to penetrate a little greater into India?
Yeah. When I was growing up in India, English was like a country club. It is very, very few people who actually got to learn the language. And just by knowing English, you had an exalted status in society. That's changing very fast. The entire country is on to the job of learning English. They need to learn it even to operate a mobile phone today. And this is where they are looking for tools that they can grab onto, my books being one of them, my voice being one of them. So, I'm sure the elitism, people who were saying, okay, we are English speakers, we read English books, they're not very happy about that fact. I'm not saying I'm some major crusader or anything, but they may feel that, I'm kind of taking away the exclusivity of the language. I personally feel it needs to be taken away, and therefore I will take away that exclusivity more and more and more. But I can imagine that certain sections which will be very uncomfortable with that idea that I've made literature more massy, and for them that's not what it should be.
Supriya, I can hear you.
I'd like to add a point.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, yeah. I'd like to add a point. See, there's a whole generation of children now, at least in their 20s, who seem to have grown up on your books. And one can almost predict the kind of book that you're going to write. And chances are that it'll probably sell way more than literary novels. But given your established genre and your existing fan base, wouldn't you want to take a little step back from the books you write, the kind of books you write, take a break from yourself, and want to surprise your readers with perhaps a different sort of book that might even entice literary snobs? Maybe they might want to read your book someday. Would you consider trying that?
Supriya, they're going to read my book anyway, even the snobs do, if only to criticize it. So there is no worry there. I know what you're trying to say though.
I know. Supriya, take a breath, Supriya. Supriya, take a breath so that Chetan can actually have a conversation with you. Just give me a moment.
No. Yeah, I think it's a very valid question, and that's something, believe it or not, I think about. And at the same time, there is a lot more Indians to be reached. I have not reached everyone. Have I reached rural India? No. So, in fact, my next book is trying to reach rural India. So, while there are the people who hold me to high standard, and you're saying, why don't you surprise them? I could try and do that, and I will. I do try. If you know, I don't know. I personally feel every book of mine has a better flow, better writing, better technicality, and there is a better story every time. So I have also tried to surprise
all those
people
stories
through
become Bollywood films at the end of the day.
But what kind of Bollywood films? Very good Bollywood films. Kai Po Che was a fantastic rendition. How many? You can't just say. And again, the way you sound as if Bollywood films is some.
No. All right, Supriya, take a breath for a moment. Supriya, take a breath for a moment. Because you're at a you're at an advantage.
Condescension.
Right.
The moment you say they become Bollywood films.
Right. Supriya, take a breath for a moment. Supriya, take a breath for a moment, because this is not the Supriya show. Chetan, finish your sentence, because I want everybody who's watching internationally to understand what a Chetan Bhagat novel is, and Supriya has an advantage. So do finish your sentence, and then we'll get back to your novel.
Even though she's well-meaning towards me, I think she's not realizing her own condescension. But what about those books? They just become Bollywood movies. I mean, Bollywood is India's mass culture. It is our film industry. To look at Bollywood as if it's some inferior product is wrong, and the films that have come like Two States, like Kai Po Che, if you go on IMDb, which is a very good community, they have ratings of 7.6, 7.8. I'm talking the sites she probably visits to decide what is good art and what is not. So there has been, I have tried to change Bollywood also. I've tried to contribute to Bollywood, giving movies which you can proudly show anywhere in the world and they would be liked. But this whole thing of, but they are Bollywood films. So what is wrong with that? Is it just films are inferior medium? Is it too massy for you? So I think we have to break this. We have to say that you cannot have this kind of snobbery. And if you do, unfortunately, I don't think the problem lies with me. The problem lies with people who have those attitudes that Bollywood films are inferior. Then why do you watch them if they're inferior?
Sure. Chetan, just for people who are new to your work, who may be watching you for the very first time on this show, how would you describe your novels to them?
I think they're relationship stories about India. I mean, they're just simple middle class struggle stories of India, which somehow connect to a lot of people.
I'm going to play a little clip from a movie called 3 Idiots. 4 Idiots, that one makes me, because I had a memory lapse there. 3 Idiots, it's based on a book called 5 Point Someone, and the story is about who? Chetan, before I play the clip.
Well, the story is about, actually it's based on my own life in an engineering college. So it's about 3 boys in an engineering college in India, a very draconian, a very strict engineering college.
All right, so they're in college and here's one of the idiots, apparently one of the idiots. Take a look at this.
हर वो चीज जो इंसान का काम आसान करे या वक्त बचाए वो मशीन है सर। गर्मी लग रही है, बटन दबाया, हवा चालू, फैन, मशीन है सर। मीलों दूर आप अपने दोस्त के साथ बात कर सकते हैं, टेलीफोन, मशीन है सर। करोड़ों का हिसाब चुटकी में करता है, कैलकुलेटर, मशीन है सर। सर एक्चुअली हम मशीनों से घिरे हुए हैं सर। पेन की निब से लेके पैंट की जिप तक सब मशीन है सर। 1 सेकंड में अप, 1 सेकंड में डाउन, अप डाउन, अप डाउन, अप डाउन।
डेफिनेशन क्या है
सर? वही तो बता रहा हूं सर।
एग्जाम में यही सब लिखोगे? ये मशीन है, अप डाउन, अप डाउन। इडियट। एनीबडी एल्स? यस
Sir, machines are any combination of bodies so connected that their relative motions are constrained, and by which means force and motion may be transmitted and modified as a screw in its nut, or a lever arranged to turn about a fulcrum, or a pulley about its pivot, etc. Especially a construction more or less complex consisting of...
So, that clip goes on to then the guy who gave the very simplistic answer was like, but nobody understands that answer. Shouldn't it actually connect and resonate? Which is the point of that, which is why I love that clip so much. As we head back to the community, what do they want to talk to Chetan about?
Yeah, we have some criticisms also of the substance, essentially, of some of the writings. We have Akash here who says, people can draw important lessons and experiences from life, from quality fiction. Chetan's work does not have those lessons. And we also have this video comment from Shuchita. Take a listen to this.
I find Chetan Bhagat's books written in such a way that they are written for a typical Hindi masala movie instead of a book. or maybe he's too much inspired with movies while writing his books. This is my opinion about Chetan Bhagat's books, which are too filmy, too dramatic, too dreamy pictures, and not worth a book. I may watch a Hindi movie if I want to read his book.
Chetan, what do you make of this criticism? Are you writing specifically to create movies? And if that's the case, is there a point in writing in book format to begin with?
I don't think I am, and her feedback is similar to what Supriya's was, and I don't think they're wrong either. But you know, what I feel is that I don't judge the medium of movies. Every time there is talk of Hindi movies, it's like we are talking of something very shallow or something like that. I have written books on engineering colleges, which I never thought would become a Bollywood film. I have written books on Hindu-Muslim riots, which have become movies, which I never thought anybody would touch as a subject to make a movie. So I think, leave aside, I think people are affected more by the Bollywood than I am. I write what I want to write. I speak what I want to speak. If I wanted to make it big in Bollywood, why would I ever give a political opinion, for instance? So it's just an add-on. It's just a nice thing that movies are being made, but that's not driving me. I mean, that's not why I would come at 1 in the night. It's something else, and I think I take the feedback. But I think there is also a lot of high-handedness. It's almost like setting the bar higher and higher and higher, saying that you're not good enough. You're just not good enough. It's like we have a company called Infosys in India. It's a great IT company, one of our biggest companies, and you say, but you're not Google. So you're not good enough. So I think this is what the world does to people. Where you try and achieve something and it keeps on telling you that you're not good enough. I don't take that as valid feedback. Give me something which is worthwhile, which is something which helps me achieve my goal, which is to reach India, try to make my thoughts reach there and make a change. And for that, I will use the massiest mediums available to me, which is Bollywood, if the gates are open, or books that I write. And within that, give me some feedback. But to say that write for the elitist audience so that we can finally like you, I'm sorry. I mean, that's not my interest. I mean, it would be nice if you could like me, but if you don't, then it's okay.
Harsh, what did you want to add?
Yeah, so hi Chetan. I just want to ask a question, and that is, I mean, you brand everybody who criticizes your novels or movies for quality as elitist. I have a problem with that because sometimes, I mean, I might be seeking a higher quality in the kind of movie that I'm watching or a novel that I'm reading. For example, I really liked your first book, Fight When Summer, but then in the subsequent books, I saw that there was some tendency where you added a lot of melodrama. I expected that Chetan Bhagat shouldn't have done this. So that expectation of mine as a reader from you, I mean, that shouldn't be branded elitist in my sense.
No, that's not elitist at all. I mean, maybe the other books didn't work for you, that book worked for you more. That's not elitist. But what is elitist is you're writing for movies, you're writing so as if it's an inferior medium, or if something wrong with our Hindi movies, or there's something, it's something people enjoy watching a lot. It drives our country. I mean, it's the only source of entertainment, which people love across the nation. So to kind of judge it and just that I can tell, I of course need feedback, and I of course take feedback, and like I said, if you give me feedback on my goal, I told you my goal is not to win the Booker Prize. My goal is not to be the best author you ever read. My goal is to reach Indians. Let me have my goals. Let me live my life the way I want to live. And if you can help me give feedback that will help me achieve that goal, give me feedback. How should I reach rural India? Give me feedback. How do I change my country? I'll act on it. But if you say, hey, I want this, I want this, I want this, you must write this way if you want the critics to like you. I mean, maybe in another life, but that's not the goal I've come to this world for.
So Chetan, I'm looking at you on social media right now, and you're very busy. So you've got 2.8 million followers on Twitter, and then you've got something like 6 million on Facebook. And here you are taking a selfie with Prime Minister Modi. So politically, stepping out away from being a novelist, do you feel that you're also a commentator on Indian society and life as well? Are you comfortable with that role?
Yeah, I have a column actually. I write for the Times of India, which is a big English paper here. I write for Dainik Bhaskar, which is a big Hindi paper. So in my role as a columnist, I do talk about politics. I do, and one of my goals is to get the youth more excited about politics. Just to get them. So this whole selfie, what you're seeing, selfies are something the youth are really into, but they never associate like politicians taking selfies or like the Prime Minister taking selfies. So that is something which excites them, that connects them to the political class, which I think is very, very important. If you really want change, the youth has to care about politics. So I do it, for that reason. So yeah, I am a commentator, but to a certain extent.
Chetan, we have some criticism of your involvement in politics to some extent. We'll get to you in just one second. We have this from community. Samujal says, my problem is when writing these sensationalist books suddenly makes him a thought leader and merits his opinion on every topic. So he's critical of your involvement in politics. But we also have this video comment from Girish. Take a listen to this.
Hi, this is Girish Nair from Chennai, India. To me, Chetan Bhagat has come across as a politically very unbiased person. So I would like him to take a quick break from writing and tell us about how he feels about the new government that has been in power for a little over 2 months. Thank you.
Chetan?
Yeah, he said, it's just been in power for 2 months. So that's like 8 to 10 weeks. I would say that they're a little quieter than I expected because the campaign was very communicative. They were reaching out more. I think they've become a little quieter, and it's clearly a decision to not speak too much. And I think that is the only thing I would say, that they can speak up a little more. But frankly, 2 months is too little time to judge. If I'm unbiased, it doesn't. I have to give people time, and 8 to 10 weeks is just not enough of a data point to really comment meaningfully on the new government.
Going back to social media, Chetan, do you have a philosophy for how you approach your tweeting? Do you tweet yourself, for instance?
Yes, I tweet myself, and on my Facebook, my staff helps me a little bit with pictures and if there are any graphics. But the Twitter definitely is my own. I really don't have a strategy as such. In fact, I often tell people, those who say let's have a social media strategy, get it wrong. The whole idea of social media is to connect to people. It's like saying, have a strategy how you will talk to people. Have a strategy of having relationships. And that just defeats the purpose. As long as I only believe in having good intentions. As long as I write something which is something positive for society, anything, it could be anything, but the end goal has to be positive, then I think I'll be okay. There could be ups and downs, and sometimes I could goof up, sometimes I could end up saying something stupid. But it'll be genuine at least, and it'll be real, and I will speak up, because not many celebrities in India speak up, and that's not good, and that's the only thing. But I don't comment on every topic. I mean, it's just that when I comment on something, people notice it. But obviously, India is such a vast country. How can I comment on every topic?
Sure. I'm fishing for a little scoop in the last minute of this part of the program. So I'm looking at Twitter, and it says August the 5th. Watch this space. So if you want to give us a little preview, what are we watching for, Chetan?
Oh, I love you for this.
What's going to be coming up?
This is how we... it's about having some fun. I'm announcing my new book on the 5th of August.
Okay.
And it's a beautiful love story. I've done it for 3 years on a rural-urban setting. Brings out the issues in rural villages, but at the same time, it's a love story. And I feel, I'm in a category which is thousands of years old. Today, youngsters have apps, web, Skype, all these things. To make books exciting is extremely difficult.
All right.
So these countdowns, these fun things going on. And all my books have numbers on them. So if you see 5, 1, 3, 2, these are all numbers in my books.
You're
so
listening
now
to
there's going to be another.
Chetan Bhagat. I am taking him and all of our chatterers who want to chat to him online to stream.aljazeera.com. To be continued, like a good novel. On the next show, what do you do if you don't have access to water? We'll tell you why thousands in the US city of Detroit are dealing with that reality and what they're doing to fight it. See you next time. Thanks for watching. Hello again, this is the Post Show with Indian writer Chetan Bhagat. We're also joined by some members of our community. Let's get right back to the conversation. First of all, let me just check in with Supriya and also Harsh and also Rematala. What do you think of what you've been hearing so far? Let's start with Supriya.
Well, given Chetan, when he said about his followers and he tweets himself, I wanted to just go a little back when he tweeted recently on what's going on in Gaza, and it may seem unintentional what he wanted to say, but the point of the matter is that we live in a social media space where even if you want to send out a rejoinder, it's probably a little too late. And given the fact that you have about 2.8 million followers or more, or so many of them, and many of them may be impressionable, commenting what you did and saying what you did, isn't it, you're in an enviable position that don't you think you owe it to your followers to be, in a way, the best version of yourself?
Okay, Chetan, as you answer that, will you explain the backstory for everybody who may not know what you tweeted out?
Oh, you want me to explain?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I mean, like what she's saying, I sent out a series of tweets about Gaza, and I, like any other issue, any issue in the world I've ever tweeted about, my stance is always present both sides of the argument. I feel no issue can be solved if you, for example, in this case, don't listen to the Palestinian side as well as the Israeli side. And to just say, hey, I'm seeing children dying, so I'm going to side with the guys who have children dying, gives you a good posturing and gives you a nice cozy place in social media, and you come across as good. It doesn't solve the problem. And one of the reasons my opinions are listened to and heard is because people know I'm a very practical guy. I'm not doing it to posture. And the fact is, Israel also has a point of view here. And just because you are seeing more suffering on the Palestinian side doesn't mean Palestine is 100% right. There's no one Palestine. There is a political party there. There are Palestinians there. There's terrorism happening on that side. And same in Israel. There are some balanced voices. There are some extreme voices. If we do not connect all this together, and if we can't discuss, and I discovered that we can't discuss it, because the moment you present it, you are seen as an apologist. You are seen as somebody who supports completely unreasonable, baseless titles are attached to you, and therefore you can't tweet about it, you can't talk about it anymore. And I think that is one of the big reasons the problems is not getting solved, is that people are giving this kind of a fake support to Palestine, whereas they are really not letting things be discussed. They just, so I think I tried to do my best, believe it or not. There is a lot of support for me for what I did, and we just need to sit and talk. We just need to sit and talk across the table and work this issue out. There is a conflict going on for 50, 60, 70 years now. They've been fighting. So to say that you are right and I'm wrong and I'm right and you are wrong is silly. It's stupid. But what is needed is tell me what the Israeli point of view is. Tell me what the Palestinian point of view is. What can be worked out here? There is creativity required here. People are not doing that. That was my point of view. But it was construed as I'm apologizing for Israel, which is kind of bizarre.
Chetan, just to switch gears a little bit, there's been a lot of commentary about the fact that you speak for youth in India. We have Akash here who says that one of the reasons why you're popular is because essentially you write for the youth, who are the biggest chunk of the population in India, and we also have this video comment. Take a listen.
Hi Chetan, you have at multiple times in your articles, columns and media voiced what today's youths want. Lots of times these views are very sound, but I'm sure for every opinion you represent there's a large section of Indian youth disagreeing with your opinion on those issues, especially amongst people who don't read your books. Therefore my question is, what are the prime factors? Is it your readership or experience which makes you a good representative to be a voice of the youth on public forums? Thank you.
And Chetan, if you can just add to that question also, how it is that you're able to keep a pulse on young people in India?
I travel a lot. I'm a motivational speaker as well. I travel. I talk to people a lot. I talk to youngsters a lot. I track what they're saying. I discuss with them. I run things by them. I figure out the mood. And believe it or not, for example, there is a large section of people in India who do feel that we got to listen to Israel's point of view on this issue. Even though the liberals have a certain view, a certain politically correct way of saying things, but there are all kinds of voices that exist on this. And that doesn't make me the bad guy or them the bad guys. It's the same point of view that a Europe or a US has. So this is how I do it. I'm not saying I'm right 100% of the time. It's an opinion. So by definition, being right or wrong doesn't apply here, right? It's an opinion. And some people may not like that opinion, but I still have the right to hold that opinion, and that doesn't make me a good or bad commentator. You become a good commentator if you're having an impact, I feel. And largely, people respect you for your views. And a few times you may get it wrong, or you may choose better words, and I'm human, so I could do the same.
What is on your mind right now? What are you thinking about for your next column? What bothers you right now about what's happening in India that's right at the top of your head that you're thinking about a lot?
I am thinking about two things. One of them, in fact, I'm in touch with your Al Jazeera staff for the same. I'm trying to figure out why there is no strong Muslim feminist movement, especially after what has been ordered in Iraq on the genital mutilation, and how India, enjoying a very democratic, free society, the Muslims in India can lead to a more modern Islam, and how we can do that. But it's a very tricky column to write, so I'm struggling with it. The second is bringing gay rights back in India. We have had a draconian section which has criminalized gay offenses again, and I really want to remove that. And these are again two very sticky issues, and I know that I will only get one chance. And like with Gaza, where there were misinterpretations and some people said I'm trying to say I can't get it wrong, so I'm going to discuss both of these with the relevant communities.
Sure.
So these are the two things.
All right, Harsh is jumping to chat to you again. Go ahead, Harsh.
Yeah, so Chetan, I have a question which has always bothered me. I always wanted to know what is in your reading list. If I go and see Chetan Bhagat's library, what is it that he reads? Because commenting on Gaza at the same time writing fiction which is catering to rural market, at the same time writing something on communal issues in India, you need to be extremely well read to be sensitive about each of these issues. So, I mean, could you talk about some of your favorite books?
Well, I mean, it depends, you know, for the kind of the stuff you are mentioning. I mean, these are political issues or the world issues. It's more you have to read a lot of articles, on the internet, a lot of research from the internet on, good research papers, what are the various people saying. So these are more contemporary things. But if you talk of fiction, I like to read authors that are very simple, but they had a profound impact on society, right? From a Dickens to a Hemingway to a Orwell to all kinds of things. I'm not saying I'm as good as them, but they are my inspirations, the classics of people who wrote in a very simple language, but somehow managed to write timeless books. So those tend to be my favorite, something that became a bestseller but yet had an impact.
Any contemporary writers?
It sounds like Roberto wanted to jump in. Go for it.
Yeah. If Harsh and I can, I'll be happy to ask the next question.
Yeah, go ahead. We have 90 seconds. I'm going to see if I can beg for one more minute, but go ahead, Ramatullah, as quick as you can.
Firstly, on a light note, in view of his tweet on the Gaza conflict, I think he took his book, The Two States, a little too far. That's on the list. I just wanted to ask, especially when we came to the first discussion, has the middle class of India made reading, the art of reading, a privilege of few? Like the rich of India are making wealth a privilege of few, is the middle class wanting to make the art of reading and books a privilege of few that is dedicated only to them? And is that the reason why the whole discussion on Chetan Bhagat becoming extremely simplistic off?
I would like to think so. I don't think we expect that slum dwellers should, for example, which are 50-60% of our population, should read English books. I mean, that's not a class we associate. But I want them to read English books. I want them to read English books. I want them to read my books. So what kind of books could be written for them? Think about it. Will they be very literary novels? Or will they be books they can understand and connect to? I want to be the guy who writes those books. So obviously there is people are going to be uncomfortable with that, because then it doesn't make you those people look so cool, because everybody's reading English books. So yeah, there is some truth to that.
Chetan, let me tell you, I'm listening to you for the last 40 minutes
I'm going to tell you one thing.
Go on. Go on. They're going to pull the plug out any second, so go ahead with, as fast as you can, Chetan.
So in my next book, I had to put a character which is an aspirational, attractive lady.
Yes.
And believe it or not, she works for Al Jazeera in the US.
Fantastic. Who did you base that on?
I don't know. I just felt like it's such a cool
Oh my
place.
goodness, that is a way to get so many people to read it. Very clever. All right, so you are a columnist. You also are a motivational speaker. You write novels. When do you write? When do you actually sit down and write?
I write. I go away. I go away and shut myself off. I take periods of coming out and going back. So you will have a year where you will have my movie releases and book releases. It's like a harvest time, which is this year, for example.
Okay.
But next year is going to be the crop, putting the seeds in time. So you have to do it in and out.
All right. Well, how's the last 40 minutes been for you? We're wrapping up right now, Chetan. What did you think?
I think it's been great. I mean, basically two things. People are saying that maybe I can upgrade my standard a little bit, and people are saying maybe I should be more informed on issues. One can always upgrade standards, and one can always be better informed on issues. So I take that feedback well, and I'm sorry if I defended myself a little too strongly. But I'm human. I'm trying, and it has had some impact. So I'm hopefully going to make it better from here.
Chetan Bhagat, we enjoyed your company. Thank you to Harsh, to Supriya, and also Roberto as well, and all of our online community. Next program. Well, what do you do if you don't have access to water? We'll tell you why thousands in the US city of Detroit are dealing with that reality and what they're doing to fight it. That conversation will be tomorrow. See you then.